We are off.
Yes.
This is so exciting. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of Taking It Personally. I am obviously your host, Michelle Yampolsky Gomez, the one, the only. I need to pep myself up a little bit on this Saturday because, God, what a mess it was getting here. But I have the most incredible guest today, my friend, the dating guru. Can we call you that?
I'll take it.
Okay,
sure.
The dating guru, Alex Daly. Welcome to the show.
Hi, so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. And then I want to give a shout out because we have Haley producing us today. And it's total girl power vibes in this bitch. Peace out.
That's exactly what we need today.
That is what we need today. It's what I need today. How are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. Let's see. It's the weekend. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. Psych. I have been bullied by my toddler all week. What else is fucking new? Getting up here was a total journey. But I'm traveling with him in Manhattan. My guest, Alex, is with us today from...
Philly.
Boo.
Philly represent, go Birds.
Alex, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do,
Yeah.
where you're from?
Yeah, well, we met a couple of years ago,
Yes.
a few years ago at this point. Really crazy. But we met on a couples trip to Israel. It was basically like Birthright, but for couples.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it. I
okay.
want to hear more about Alex Daly, Dating Yapps, what we'd love to talk about.
Okay,
most.
so yeah, what I love to talk about is dating, and that's because I re-entered the dating scene at the like big age of 30. I was basically about to turn 38. Was the first time I ever got on the apps, and
Wild.
It was right after I ended my marriage.
Yep.
So yeah, found myself on the apps for the first time ever, and it was like just this whole new wild world, but I was just kind of having fun with it. And I'd also just moved to Philly and was trying to put myself out there a lot, not only through dating, but like making friends. And I was like going to all these events, and it was like a walking club, a book club, like let's do this, let's do improv, blah, blah, blah. So I was just like out in the world, and I just found that like, so everybody loved to talk about dating.
Experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And mostly they're
adventures in dating.
adventures. Yeah, so people like love to talk about dating. They love to talk about their issues. They love to talk about like
They love
who
to
they're
complain
texting.
about stuff. Yeah.
And so I just found like so many of conversations revolved around it. And I love talking about dating relationships. When people are like, I don't want to bore you with the details, I'm like, no, tell me
with
the
the details.
Like, I want to know literally everything. Like, pull up your app, show me your profile, show me who you're talking to.
Yeah, and so we'll take a few steps back,
Yeah.
right? So you were once a ballerina.
I was. Yeah, that was my past life. It feels like 7 lifetimes ago, basically.
Yeah,
but
you've lived a lot of lives,
I
but
have.
you were once a ballerina.
Yeah.
And it was during this that you met your now ex-husband, right?
Yes.
So where were you living?
We were living in South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
I was like in a ballet company down there, and they do ballet in South Carolina,
Yeah.
contrary to popular belief. But
No, I thought it was just Southern charm and
football, yeah.
yeah, okay.
There is a lot of that. But yeah, I danced for this ballet company. I met who is now my ex-husband while I was living there. He was like a bartender at the time.
Yeah.
I just thought he was cute. And
That's it. Just cute.
Right.
No other redeeming qualities.
that's all you need. And he was tall. So
Oh.
yeah.
That'll get us all fucked.
Those are the main things.
Well, that'll
Tall,
get us all in
cute.
trouble.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, so that was like really, I was like in my mid-20s, and that was right before I think like the explosion of
Apps.
and stuff.
Sure.
So I had never done any of that, you know.
And where are you from originally?
I grew up in upstate New York, so
Okay.
yeah.
So you're from upstate New York. You're living in South Carolina. You're a ballerina.
Yeah.
You meet your now ex-husband.
Yes.
You guys go through the motions. You're dating. You fall in love. You get engaged. You get married.
Yeah.
We then meet on a couples trip, which is essentially like a birthright for interfaith couples to Israel. And the purpose of this trip is for interfaith couples to have a chance to explore Israel and Judaism.
Yeah.
Really Judaism, and figure out your place in Judaism when you're married to someone who isn't Jewish. And my husband and I went on this trip. We absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it when things are safe again.
Right.
Met Alex and her now ex-husband. And the fun part about it was that we were partnered up as couples for the buddy system.
So that we didn't get lost.
So that we didn't get lost.
You don't want to get lost in Israel.
You don't really want to get lost anywhere. Like you don't want to get lost anywhere. But my favorite component of that was that everyone was kind of shy and timid about it. And Alex and I would sit on opposite ends of like a bus, for example, and just belt out the word Zoog at the top.
I feel like
lungs.
that's how they were like, pick your buddy. And I feel like we just like locked eyes across the bus and we're like, got you.
Yeah. And then we just dragged the men along for the ride.
Yeah.
So what was your first impression of me?
I thought that you were super fun because I remember one of the first like icebreaker activities that we did was this like improv exercise. They had some guy come in that was like making us get up and do things and they were asking for volunteers. And I'm pretty sure you and I were like the first people to volunteer.
Yeah, we were down.
Which checks out because like you do stand up and now I do improv. So it's like, it makes sense.
It tracks.
But at the time I didn't know you at all. And it was just like, oh,
did you do it? Did you do it because you think I'm hot?
Definitely. I was like, well, if Michelle's going to do it, then I have to do it.
That works.
Yeah.
So that was actually my first impression of you two. And then when we had to buddy up, we just kind of clicked. So that's really fun. And so we go on this trip. I'm actually a few weeks pregnant on this trip, but I'm
unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, I was keeping it on the DL just because it was super early and I'm really superstitious. I can explain that later. And the trip happens. We get back to New York. Everyone's staying in touch. And you are living in Hoboken at the time, or Jersey City.
Hoboken.
Now, we don't need to dive into it, but a while goes by and we get an announcement that personally rocks my home. And it's that you are getting a divorce.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can tell me a little bit about the transformation that happened. And again, like this is high level stuff. We're not here to cry it out or anything like that because you are...
There's no more tears to be shed about this.
There you go.
We're in a good place.
There you go. And so maybe you can tell me a little bit about the catalyst that drove you to make this life-altering decision.
Yeah.
And then how it propelled you into this reinvention that you did in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we met, that was like, I don't know, almost 7 years into our marriage and probably like 10 years since we had been together. So like we'd been together for a really long time.
Yeah, you know each other pretty well, so you think.
But yeah, like I met my ex, we were like in our mid-20s. So like we just like didn't know ourselves at all, really.
Yeah.
And in a way, it was great because we got to like become adults together. And it was like very helpful to like have this person by my side and like walk through all these like major life events of like becoming an adult and like establishing yourself. So like that was great. But then we just like started becoming like different people. And I could just like see us diverging on different paths.
And was this before or after your trip to Israel?
It started well before, for sure.
Yeah.
We were like in a good-ish place at that trip. We were like getting along, but I mean, it was even like a struggle to even like get him to come with me on that trip. Like it was.
Yeah. And if I can just interject one note that might color this story a little bit for people who are just learning about it, but we all had signed up for this trip prior to COVID.
Several years prior. I
mean, this trip was slated to happen, I think it was 2019. So it continuously was pushed back because of COVID restrictions. And so many of the couples who had gone on this trip or were planning on going on this trip were facing all of this weird turmoil and change because of the pandemic. So we had all just been stuck inside of apartments together with our significant other for a year and a half, 2 years. You're in like this life-altering state. So I think it's fair to say that the couples that went on this trip were not in the same mindset that they were in when we all applied. Yeah. So I think it's fair to acknowledge that we were all in a different place.
Oh, 100%. But I was committed at that point. I was like, I signed up for this 4 years ago. I'm going.
Yeah, I'm going on this fucking trip. It's a birthright for adults. Like, give me a fucking break.
And it was great. The food was amazing.
It was a phenomenal trip.
I am so glad that we went, but
no regrets.
Yeah, we were like maybe not in the best place ever when we went. But yeah, I think the pandemic was the beginning of like seeing that we were very different people and we just kind of operated in very different ways. We sort of wanted different things in life. And I had kept trying to like get him on board with me. And I was like, wouldn't this be fun? Wouldn't this be fun? Let's go here. And I was just sort of like met with this resistance. And I would just sort of realize like, oh, maybe we're just not on the same page.
Yeah.
Like maybe at one point we were great for each other and now,
You're different people.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, you make this decision and it's time to reinvent. How did you choose Philly? Go Birds.
Go Birds. Actually, it was a little bit on a whim,
Okay.
if you can believe.
I
But
can.
yes. So it was not on my radar literally at all. And, you know, so we had made this decision to separate, but I was still living with him because, you know, like leases and whatnot. And also like didn't really have a plan. So was just sort of figuring it out as I go.
Divorce is awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Divorce is awkward. I feel like I never hear awkward in the same sentence as divorce because there's so many other emotions and feelings
Yeah.
that go into it.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the core of it, when you're really starting to figure out how to separate your lives, it is so fucking awkward. You have to
Yeah.
tell people it's happening. You have to explain it to your families. You
Yeah.
have to figure out who's getting what. Like, what if you have forget kids. What if you have pets? What if you have furniture that you bought together that you fucking love and you're both fighting over it? Who gets the apartment if you're on a lease? I mean, there's so many questions.
Yeah.
I totally can see how it would just be so awkward.
No, it's a lot to deal with for sure. And that's why luckily we were doing this kind of amicably and we went to like a couples counselor who actually helped us separate, which I highly recommend.
Okay, that's a tool for the
Yeah,
toolbox.
because like we were able to do it with a lot more kindness than I think we would have been able to just if we were navigating it on our own.
Like if you were navigating it on your own, you probably would have been like, you are ugly and I hate you and it doesn't matter how tall you are, you're still a little runt.
There would be a lot more yelling, I think, but we were able to like be kind of cool with each other. So that's why we did live together for a few months. And I will say those were like the longest feeling months of my life.
I
Like,
bet.
yeah. But so it was like in this time period when I'm trying to figure my shit out, my sister invites me to go to a Phillies game and it's the playoffs.
Wow.
And she's
nice
like,
tickets.
yeah, she's like,
If you could get 'em.
come. She goes, come to the Phillies game with me so I don't have to be alone with our parents. So I was like, Phillies? I was like, that's so random, but okay, I guess. Playoffs, that's cool. I'll go. And went down to Philly. Hadn't been there in years. And I was just like,
Did your sister live in Philly?
she did for a brief stint during COVID because
Okay.
like she got a COVID deal, humongous apartment compared to her one in New York.
Right.
So she was familiar with Philly. I got down there. I was like, wait, Philly is really cute and really cool. And like, obviously going to the game was super fun. So I'm like having a good time. And my sister Claire was like, you know, you could live in Philly. And I was
could
like,
just do-
but I was like, that's crazy. Why would I live in Philly? But then I'm like having a good time. And then I'm like, let me just pull open my Zillow app. And I pull it open. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, I'm moving to Philly. It's just like,
Well, I remember too, you had come up, you had just moved down there. You were there for a few months. You came up, you visited me, you were watching me schlep a child around from playground to playground.
Yeah.
You said something that really sat with me, which was that in Philly, you get to just exist.
yes, it's
And
so true.
I was hoping you could kind of expand on that a little.
Yeah, I think so. Like in New York, like I lived in and around New York for like 10 years. Actually, when I was a ballet dancer, I went to School of American Ballet here in New York when I was a child. Like I am like a city kid. Like I'm from New York. So I'm
Yeah.
just like used to this life. And it's like everything is hustle. Everything is go, go, go. Everything is like a competition.
Hustle culture.
Yes. How busy are you? Like whoever's busiest wins, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And like in Philly, you can just literally live your life and no one gives a shit what you do. Like
Which is so appealing.
it is.
Because I'm such a bed rotter. Like, I'm such a couch rotter. You know, I was thinking about this last night, too, as I was prepping to come in. And I was thinking about that moment where you had said that to me. As a working mom who also pursues things on the side, if I get 40 minutes in a week to do something, I should be doing it to either better my life or my child's life. But if I have that extra 40 minutes, all I want to do is sit and rot on TikTok.
40 minutes. That's quality phone time.
It's quality phone time. And yet in New York, because of our hustle culture, I feel like it's a dirty secret I keep. Even though I don't think anyone cares,
No.
but it still feels kind of dirty, especially now that I know so many other mothers who are like the type A type who, if they have 40 minutes with their kid, they're doing puzzles or teaching them how to read and write and potty. And like, if I have 40 minutes, I literally just want to talk shit on TikTok. And by talk shit, I mean like in my head, respond to the TikToks I'm watching. So I really appreciate that about what you've explained about living in Philly because I think it's legit. Like people deserve to just
Just
be.
live. Just live.
To just be.
Yeah.
That's great. So then you're in Philly, you re-enter the dating scene, and you start your podcast.
Well, that was a little bit later down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that from the get-go because first I had to just get used to dating.
Yeah.
And then once I figured that out, then I figured out that I like talking about dating.
Sure.
And then I finally got the balls to like make a podcast about it.
Right. So do you have any horror stories from dating in your new chapter?
I mean, I feel like I really don't have horror stories. Like I've been very lucky. Like the people that I've met are like pretty cool. I will say like, I'll tell you the weirdest first date that I went on. It was this guy that I met on an app, and he was for some reason being like a little bit squirrely. Like he didn't want to tell me like what he did. He was just like, I work at a school and like that's all I can say. And I'm like, okay. And then we go on a day date on a Sunday, which is fine. And he takes me to this bar that's like completely empty because it's like a Sunday afternoon. And we go like way into the back and there's no one there.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, why are we hiding? This is already weird vibes. And then he's just like talking to me the whole time about the Jersey Shore. And he's like, do you know it? And I was like, no, not really. And he keeps dropping the name of this one beach. And he's like saying it over and over. And I'm just like not picking up on it because again, I already told him I don't know the Jersey Shore, but he's like dropping this name and I'm like, he can tell that I'm not picking up on it. He's like, it's a nude beach. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
So he was just like trying to understand, like get the vibe.
Haley seems into it.
Like if I was like, he wanted to know if I was into going to a nude beach. I'm like, why don't you just say it? Like,
so he was a nudist.
Yeah.
Who works with children. Probably.
Well, yeah, I didn't put those two together before, but yes.
Thank God I'm here to do that for you. Thank God that didn't blossom into anything because he's a nudist who works with children. And that's why he didn't want to be seen in public. And he took you deep inside the bar. Dating by Michelle Yampolsky Gomez. Yeah, sounds like you need me to help analyze. So glad that didn't pan out into anything.
You know, I did not.
I wonder what the nude beach was. Was it Sandy Hook?
No, I don't remember. I want to say that the name was started with like a G. If anybody knows the Jersey Shore,
drop it below.
But yeah, we did not. We did not have a second date.
I could see that. Interesting. So I'm gonna switch gears for a second, then, but in the same vein of just like weirdos. Let's do my favorite game, which is Taking It Personally, the namesake of my podcast. I love to bitch and moan. I love to complain. It comes so naturally to me. You know? Do you feel that way? Is that your Jewish gene speaking?
I feel like it does, yeah. I try to stay positive, but it is pretty easy to be like, you know what I don't like?
I know. There's this Yiddish phrase that my grandmother always tells me, and she's like, think good and it'll be good. Think good and it'll be good. And you know what? Sometimes I just want to be like, I'm thinking like shit. My first question for you, and remember that this is under the lens of taking things personally, right? Mm-hmm. So feel free to let it out.
Yes.
Okay. But you're someone who recently got back on the modern dating scene apps and post-COVID world and yada, yada.
Yeah.
Not that you're on the scene now, but you recently experienced it. What's something about modern dating that you take personally?
I think I take it personally, honestly, when people take dating so seriously. Like, it's not that serious.
It's not that serious. But what would you say to someone who's seeking out their life partner?
I feel like that's really icky. I don't like when someone puts that they're looking for the life partner on the app.
Oh,
I did not swipe on those people because I was like, it ain't me, babe. I'm not going to be your wife.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I feel like it fucks up your mindset also when you're like going into a date. You're like, are you going to be my husband? Like, it's not setting you up for success, you know?
True. So you're saying people need to kind of lighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think that's also good for me to hear because I don't know how to offer advice to friends who are dating. So I'm just like, kiss a million frogs. And like, no one wants to kiss a fucking frog these days. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
They smell bad. What is a piece of dating advice or a common belief that personally drives you nuts?
I really, really dislike the discourse that's geared towards women about like when it's okay or when you should sleep with someone in dating. Because I feel like there's like still all these rules of like, okay, well, if you're serious about wanting a relationship,
hold back.
You better wait 3, 4, 5, 6 dates. Like what people have different numbers.
Right.
And I'm like, that's insane.
So what's your take on that?
do what you want. Sleep with this person whenever you want, because like if the relationship is going to end or it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. But like you trying to manipulate it by like withholding sex, that's like not going to change anything. If all they want is sex, whenever they get it, then they're going to be out anyway. You're not going to trick this person into having a relationship because you waited 5 dates to have sex.
Right, right. I do get that, because I feel as though if you're dating someone and you decide to have sex with them and they decide to bounce after that, doesn't that say more about their character anyway?
Yeah. No, and like it wasn't going to work out anyway.
Because they wanted to dip at some point.
Yes.
I don't know if that's overly harsh coming from me, because I haven't dated in like 15 years at this point, but it does feel like if the person is willing to peace out after you give it up, then like who wants that anyway?
Right, exactly. And like the men that are like, well, I wouldn't want to be with a woman because she gave it up so fast. I'm like, didn't you give it up so fast?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like,
I don't get that. I don't get that mindset at all.
So I think you should fuck whenever you want to. I mean,
and that's on that, honey. Dating yaps over here. We are yapping about fucking. Sorry if my parents are listening.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
We like to be a little bit slutty sometimes.
So, and everyone has needs that need to be met. And like maybe you, as a woman,
also,
maybe you're
like,
just in it for some fun too.
Yes, exactly. Also, like I am recognizing, I'm saying this as a person who like does not get fully attached after having sex one time. Like I can have sex one time and not care at all, but not everybody is like that. So like you have to know yourself. But
what would you say was the best part of marriage as someone who can now look back at it?
Looking back, I mean, I think it's really nice to have a teammate and to like feel like you are on the same team.
When you feel like
you're on the same team, it's really, really nice. It's also really nice to have someone back you up with your family.
Yeah.
If they're like, if your family is like shit talking you and you have this person who has your back, like that's wonderful, I will say.
Yeah. So if you have like a tumultuous relationship with your family, it's nice. I agree with that. I just celebrated my 5-year anniversary.
Mazel.
Thank you so much. It wasn't always, smooth sailing. And I think we do a disservice to not just women, but to anyone who's going into a marriage by pretending that everything's perfect. We have had a lot of ups and downs. I think that having a teammate is the best part, being able to start your own family unit where you pick the traditions, you pick what you want to focus on. That's fun to me. That's what I really appreciate the most. For example, just last night, Friday night, it's Shabbat. We are not a religious family by any means, but we have made the decision we're going to light candles every Friday.
I love that. And Shabbat is so nice. It's like, so just nice. Take a day. Just like put your phone down.
It's so nice. I didn't grow up doing that, but I know that I've influenced my parents to start doing that. And it's just like, that's what I appreciate about marriage. To me, that's the best part. It's like, this is our life together. And this is what we choose to bring into it. Mm-hmm. With that said, let's talk about the worst part of marriage.
I feel like it's just like having someone there all the time.
No alone time.
Yeah,
Okay, so you like alone time.
I like alone time. I'm like
I love alone time.
Very independent person.
Clearly.
Yeah, I need a little space.
We know. And you got that space, honey.
I did. I moved to a different state.
You're like my husband in that sense. He loves alone time. I need alone time, but I don't.
You don't crave it.
It's not that I don't crave it. It's that I don't acknowledge when I need it.
Oh.
But then when I have it, I get to recharge and I'm like, damn, that felt good.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially as a mom, I feel like it must be really hard to get alone time.
Oh, it's super hard, especially when the child is like starting to shed naps and then you're a working mom. So your free time is like spread so thin. And yeah, I think the worst part of marriage for me would be when the man gets sick.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh, hold on, I take my answer back.
Hell to the no. It is so fucking heinous. It is so heinous because suddenly the man you thought you married becomes
a child,
a baby. And I now have 2 children at home. When my husband was sick recently, I'm still getting up with my daughter. I'm still getting her backpack ready. Like, we're still living our lives. This man, you would have thought that we officially were in a recession World War III.
He's the first person to ever
all
get a
rolled in
cold.
one. Yes, he's the first person to get a cold. I actually sent him to City MD for a panel. It actually was the common cold. It was.
My thoughts and prayers.
Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. That was for me, for my peace and sanity, because I was truly losing it. Things were not okay. And that is the worst part of marriage.
No,
Easily.
I will say, one time my ex and I got on a humongous fight on a New Jersey transit train. Already off to a great start. We were coming back from somewhere, had a few drinks, and he got the hiccups. And he was like making such a big deal out of it. And I was like, can you calm down about the hiccups? And he was like, Alex, you don't understand how hard this is. And I was like, what?
What the fuck? Men are big babies. Haley, any thoughts?
I mean, you say NJ Transit, first of all, and I'm done. But no, I mean, I think it also just shows how strong women are.
Yes.
That's the smallest of our problems.
Exactly. Having a period, like men could never.
Men could never have a period. I mean, I've had debilitating cramps. That's like a whole other side story, right? But I have had debilitating cramps my entire relationship with my husband and before then. And there have been times where he's like mocked me. Or in
have
my
you
pain.
seen those machines where men can feel what it's like to have cramps?
And I plan on trying it out on him. I have seen it, and I plan on trying it on him. I also, unrelated, but, men could never be pregnant. And I don't give a fuck about...
I couldn't be either, so...
I mean, I could never... This has nothing to do with... I know, like, God forbid, the wrong person sees this clip and is like, trans rights. No. I'm talking about the pain or the discomfort. Men could never handle it because one time I was super pregnant, and I woke up so nauseous. And the trick when you wake up nauseous is you have to eat something. Like you have to keep saltines on your night table or whatever the fuck. And so I look at my husband, I'm like, please, like, just go get me a fucking piece of toast. Like, I need something in my stomach. And he made some kind of like dumbass response being like, oh, you're hungry? Like, yeah, bitch. What if I was fucking hungry? I have a fucking 7-month-old life in my stomach right now. Like, chop, 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 chop. So, yeah, they could never. They don't get it. With that said, I should preface, my husband's great.
And I actually love men. I do. But,
men are fun.
But they could never
never.
Do half the stuff that we do.
We like men here. Unfortunately for me, I'm straight.
Same.
My life would probably be a lot easier if I wasn't. But it is what it is. We like men.
This is how we know. This is how we know that sexuality is not a choice.
Right. No, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It's not a choice. We're all born this way. So, yeah, I mean, you have reinvented yourself and started fresh. And I think that's like super fucking remarkable and great. And how has that move shaped you personally? In what cases would you recommend it to people?
Oh my God, it's amazing. Getting a fresh start, I would recommend to anyone who can make it happen.
Yeah.
I was able to do it because I had a remote job at the time. So I understand it takes some logistical freedoms. But yeah, it was amazing. For me, it just shifted my whole perspective. I felt like I literally got to start fresh. And it also just built up the trust that I had with myself because it was really hard also. It's really hard to start your life over.
Yeah.
Not many people can do it, honestly.
No, it takes a lot. Even though you moved to a city that's, an hour and a half away by car?
Yeah, it's not far. But literally, I drove the U-Haul myself. I'm driving to Philly in my U-Haul, and I was just like, if I can do this, I can do literally anything. Let's go. So, it just made me feel really good about myself. It made me feel like I was really capable. And, literally, the second I got out on my own, I just, felt this insane sense of freedom. I felt high. So much so that I had to talk about it in therapy. I was like, is this okay for me to feel this way?
Sometimes I fantasize about also starting fresh. And I have this image of myself. I'm in a convertible. This is my camera. I'm in a convertible, top down. I have a babushka scarf on, and I'm wearing aviators, and I'm driving into the sunset. And the wind is blowing all around me. No one knows my name. I might be going by Michelle Gomez. I might be going by Michelle Yampolsky. I might have some other really hot name. I don't know what it is right now.
I can see this for you.
Yeah. And, I do get that fresh start and I could just run away from everything. Because sometimes shit gets really hard and sometimes I'm tired of wiping my daughter's ass.
That's real.
Or dealing with a sick husband.
Yeah.
And that's just something I plot about. And I think a lot of women who are in the hums of the day-to-day of just like the minutia, living the same day over and over, covered in spit up or chasing around a sick husband, they live that fantasy too. So for all of us, we're proud of you. From all of us, we're proud of you.
Yeah, no, it's really great. It was like the first time that I got to just think about like how do I want to set up my life, like just for me, like what do I want to do? And it was really amazing to like get out and start to explore that. And it was really cool to get to meet people and have them meet like that version of me and not like the previous version of myself. So it was just like,
yeah, you get to introduce the new version of yourself. Because have you ever had that moment when you're just living your life? Maybe you've had this. I have it frequently. And you could be doing anything. Like I'll be tapping away on my laptop and suddenly I remember something really embarrassing that I did, you know, a decade ago or in high school or in college, or a really embarrassing Facebook status that I made.
Yes.
And you're just like, ooh, that fucking sucks. Like that is so embarrassing. Like I feel as though the joy of getting to start over fresh is you can kind of forget that happened if you wanted to. I have always lived in New York post-college. I have always evolved with the same group of people kind of. So I feel like I never really got that chance to shed the past, because if I see certain people sometimes, like anyone at any time can just bring up an embarrassing moment that I did, you know, before my frontal lobe developed.
Right.
Which just happened. No, it just happened. The shit that I was doing before this developed, I'm like, oh my God, cringeworthy.
I think mine developed at like 37.
I think something that I want to acknowledge about you and the cool part of Dating Yapps and this reinvention is that you have never once been bitter or come off as bitter, because we've maintained our friendship. I'm married, and I never have looked at it like, poor Alex, she divorced her. But it could, like we mentioned earlier, be awkward. It could be awkward. It could be uncomfortable for me to easily reference my husband. And you've just always been really graceful about it. And I think that's really remarkable.
Yeah. No, I don't begrudge anyone being married. I'm like, live your lives. Everybody should live their dream. Yeah. And I think marriage is great. And if you're happy, I want people to be happy. Like, that's really the goal. But I don't like not believe in love or anything because I got divorced. Like, I'm really not bitter. Like,
that must
like,
be so nice.
This was just my path.
That must be so nice. Like, you're on an episode of Taking It Personally. I'm bitter about so much. I just think it's really graceful and shows you exhibit so much strength throughout it. You have made this entire journey, watching it unfold from afar. You've really just been such an example of what mental health and clarity and strength looks like through such a tumultuous time. Aww. You have done what so many married women sometimes fantasize about. You know, you have a bad day with your husband, you're like, I'm fucking leaving his ass. Yeah. People, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
No, it does. And I do want more people to, like, if you're having those thoughts, like, explore them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying everybody needs to get divorced, but I do think everybody needs to like think about their lives.
Yeah. You're saying that everyone should really closely examine, are you in this because you want to be, or are you in this because of societal pressure?
Or like you've just been in it for so long that you're like, well,
you know nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I think I took a different route when I started experimenting with stand-up and podcasting and content creating and writing, because I had lost a big part of myself. But I don't necessarily blame that on my marriage. I think I had other factors come into it. You know, some people get divorced, some people do stand-up.
And I think that's amazing. I fully support your stand-up career. But
Thank
yeah,
you so much.
I come from a long line of divorce also. So I think one time I said to my mom, and she like really did not appreciate this comment, but when I was like in the process of separating and everything, I was like, I'm just following family tradition.
Ooh, the shade towards Mama Goose. Ooh.
She didn't love it, but it's true.
Is there anything you want to add about your experience or anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we were just talking about, it is important to like figure out what you do want. And even if it is within your relationship, because like my problem was that I was like not doing that in my relationship. And I think that just like went on for too long.
Sure.
And so we were just like past the point of no return. But like if you can find the joy for yourself in other ways so that you're able to like keep things for yourself and not be like completely enmeshed with this other person so that you're able to like enjoy life.
Absolutely.
Isn't that what it's about?
I totally resonate with that. I think that a big thing about what I speak about often on the podcast or in stand-up is how unfair it is for us to consume the type of social media content that says my marriage is perfect, my life is perfect, my family is perfect, blah, blah, blah. I strongly believe in each person in a relationship feeling confident within themselves, having an identity within themselves. Yeah. For so long, my husband pursued so many hobbies, and he still does. Fishing, tennis.
The Eagles.
Thank you. And I didn't have as much of that going for me. And so when I was rocked with postpartum depression and after giving birth and my hormones were fluctuating, I realized through extensive therapy and sertraline that I was missing that key component of my own self-identity. Yeah. And so I really, really advocate for people to not buy into this version of your family and your husband or your partner is everything to you. You have to do something on your own.
I totally agree.
Girl power, bitch.
Co-sign, yes. And I appreciate that you talk about being a type B mom and you're not here pretending like your home life is perfect. I think it's so unrealistic. Like,
thank you.
It's so unrealistic. And that's why people feel bad about themselves when they're scrolling on social media because they're like, well, their life is perfect and mine isn't. It's like, no, their life is not perfect.
No, their life is not perfect. And if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Exactly.
You know, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And if you don't have some fun with it, like you're really just going to let yourself down. So I'm glad that I kind of owned who I am, at least this year, like for the time being. Who knows if this will continue? But for now, I know who I am. I bring that to what I try to do. And like we were talking about with podcasting, if no one listens, fuck it. We did it for ourselves.
I'm still having fun.
And we're old as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I know you don't feel that way, but I feel that way sometimes. So, Alex, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was so fun.
It was a pleasure.
Can you give our listeners just a brief rundown of where they can find you and what they can expect?
Yes, please listen to Dating Yapps. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are now on YouTube. And you can find me on social media at Dating
YAPPS.
Yes, like apps, but with a Y, because we love to yap. And yeah, we're on Instagram and TikTok. I need to up my TikTok game. It's a lot.
It's hard. It's hard.
But yeah, you can expect just like honest conversations about dating. I love to like share fun and wild stories. Sometimes we just like explore certain topics. Definitely we talk about divorce a lot. And just like, yeah, I want to share a wide variety of experiences in dating and relationships because we all experience such a wide variety of experiences. And like, I think people tend to think that they are alone in feeling this way. And it's like, no, there's probably 87 other people who went through the same exact thing. So I just want to like talk about it and share about it and talk about the awkward moments.
Yeah.
And,
I would describe your podcast as listening in on someone who's able to discuss dating, have fun with it, but with a fully formed frontal lobe. Because now it's a lot funnier now that you're a developed human adult.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend it. Tune in. And thank you so much for listening today. I'm Michelle Yampolsky-Gomez. You can follow along at Mish Yamps. You should know that if you're listening up to this point. And also at takingitpersonally.pod. Also taking it personally on TikTok because we're trying to up our game there too. And of course, YouTube, because I heard that that's where everyone's watching live podcasts. That's the rumor. Thanks for watching.
Yay.
There we go.
That was fun.
Okay, not too much over.